Hello everybody, it is your boy NCO7 here, and welcome to another review video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Horizon Forbidden West, specifically the PS5 version of this game. This game came out a couple weeks ago, and it's gotten a lots amount of praise. It's been said that it's a great game, and well, I want to talk about it because I played the game and played through the game, and well, I may as well talk about it right now. Even though today, Gran Turismo 7 comes out for PS5 and 4 as well, but still, I'll do that review at a later date. But anyways, Horizon Forbidden West. Now, I have played Zero Dawn, though I have not played the DLC for the game. But I have played Zero Dawn not a couple, but at least like a little over a year ago. And I quite liked the game. I thought it was a pretty good game. It wasn't perfect necessarily, but it was still a pretty solid time. But does Forbidden West hold up as great as a sequel? Or does it kind of just feel like more of an extended version of the first game? Well, let's find out. First off, let's start with the presentation. And the presentation for this game is really, really solid. Not disregarding the graphics for now, this game is pretty much the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. You explore a completely brand new world and whatnot, and really, that's kind of it. It's pretty much the same sort of thing as that of Zero Dawn. You're in this post-apocalyptic Earth that's inhabited by all these crazy machines that you have to destroy and whatnot, and as well as this huge world that you can explore. So the scope of the game is pretty cool, even though it is pretty similar to that of the first game, but that's fine since it's a sequel. And the visuals. Oh, the visuals. Oh man, I was playing the game in performance mode, which makes it so that the frame rate is 60 FPS. And my god, playing this game at 60 FPS is one of the most gorgeous things ever. This is without a doubt one of the best looking PS5 games. Now, I don't know what the PS4 version of the game is like. I don't have any idea. I didn't play that version. But on the PS5, this game is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, you can tell just based on the video in the background alone. This game is beautiful. And one thing I really like about this game is its attention to detail. Like, seriously, there is so much detail in this world. Every single model in this world just has so much detail on it, and the textures and everything. It's so good. Overall, presentation-wise, this game is absolutely fantastic. It has a pretty cool scope and concept, even if it is like the first game, and it has some of the best visuals I've seen in a video game. And now moving on to the story. So the game's story starts off in a completely different world. I assume the one from the first game. I'm not entirely sure of the story. I know bits and pieces of it. But essentially in this game, you're trying to recover this backup for this thing called Gaia. And since you can't find it in the world that Aloy's in the first game, well, you have to travel to the Forbidden West. As in post-apocalyptic Los Angeles and Las Vegas. And basically try and find the backup there, exploring the world and meeting new characters and whatnot. Honestly, I don't really know a lot about the story, but the story is pretty solid, I would say. But now, moving on to the gameplay. Now, the gameplay of the game is basically just Zero Dawn again, but with a couple new additions. So, like I mentioned before, it's an open world game, so while there are missions and obviously stuff to do, you don't have to do it. And it's kind of like, you can even play the game just kind of like a playground. Take Breath of the Wild. You can just explore the world, just take in the scenery. It's really beautiful. But of course, there's the combat, and where you fight against the machines. And there's two forms of combat. The first is the melee attacks, where you use a spear and whatnot in order to attack the enemies. Honestly, I didn't really use this that much, as I instead just opted for the other combat method, which is using bow and arrow and the other projectile attacks, because honestly, I felt like the machines, when using melee attacks, don't really deal much damage at all. Even despite how powerful of a shot of an attack it can be, it still really doesn't do much against the machines. It does do some stuff against the humans, so I would say it's better to use melee attacks on humans rather than machines. But you can also use the bow and arrow as well to shoot at various parts of a machine, since machines have certain weak spots where you can deal more damage and even break off certain components to make them more vulnerable to attacks. And it's honestly quite fun. It's just like the first game, obviously, but it's still quite fun, and I quite enjoyed it. And there's, of course, also the main missions and whatnot, and side quests and all that other jazz, which are also pretty good. It pretty much has, most of the time it has you going to a certain location, killing off certain machines, solve a specific puzzle, and then move on and so forth. It's not really that complicated. And overall, gameplay-wise, it's pretty good, although it's very similar to the first game in a lot of ways. And I do kind of feel like there's not really a lot of new gimmicks. There's a couple of them. First of all, they added the glider from Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild into the game, which would be more cool if I could use it in more spots. At least for the main story missions, there really aren't a lot of times where this glider comes in handy at all. Yeah, it can save you from falling down a pit, but I don't know, it just feels like more of an afterthought. I feel like they only included it just because Breath of the Wild had it, but whatever. And then we also have the flying in the game. So there's certain machines that are kind of like birds, and eventually at a point in the game, you can actually get access to fly using those machines. And let me tell you right now, flying in the skies is amazing. It's so much fun. It's so cool. Like, most of the game, you just are stuck on the ground and you have to either fast travel or you have to take that long hike. But now you can finally fly. Problem is, this isn't actually introduced until way later in the game. I'm not going to say exactly when, but it's pretty late into the game when you unlock it. And there's also like the polecaster or whatever it is, the thing that pretty much is the plunger from Luigi's Mansion 3, where you essentially can latch this thing onto various objects and pull them out of your way. It's kind of cool, but even then, sometimes there were some puzzles where it really wasn't obvious where you could actually use the polecaster at. So sometimes I would get stuck and then look it up and find out that, oh, there's this object I can pull cast on. Why couldn't I not see it when I was playing now? I don't know. But overall, gameplay-wise, it's pretty solid, but it's very similar to the first game, but still pretty solid. And control-wise, the game is pretty much fine. It works quite well, but one thing to mention about the PS5 version is, of course, the haptic feedback and the adaptive triggers. They are really, really good. I love using the adaptive triggers when you can feel when you're slamming into an enemy with melee attacks, and you can just feel when you're pulling out the bow and arrow and shooting arrows at the enemies. It's so cool. I love the haptic feedback and how the adaptive triggers work. It's really neat stuff. And now regarding content. Now, I paid $70 for the game, and this game has plenty of content. There's enough to do that it can last you a lot of time. Now, it took me around like 15 hours to finish the game. Though granted, that was mostly playing the main story and just doing a couple of other side things along the way. So yeah, you can milk the game for quite a long time, completing all the side quests and all the other stuff. You can do it for quite a while. So not much to really say there. And music-wise, the music for the game is pretty alright. I don't think it's necessarily amazing. Like, most of it's just ambient music, ambient sound, but it's pretty good when it kicks in. I really like the song that plays on the menu for, like, the PS5 when you hover over the game. I always like listening to that. It's just a good song. I don't know. It's not even in the game. It's on the PS5 UI. But even so, the music's pretty good. And going into my final thoughts, overall, Horizon Forbidden West is a really good game, but it's very similar to that of the first game in way too many ways. Honestly, I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Horizon Forbidden West was almost more like an expansion pack for Horizon Zero Dawn that was the size of a brand new game. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have done, like, some stuff to make the game feel a little bit more unique from the first game. Because, honestly, Forbidden West just doesn't differentiate itself enough from the first game to make me rank it that high. I like the game, and I certainly enjoyed the mechanics, and I think Zero Dawn still has some great gameplay and all that jazz. But Forbidden West is just doing Zero Dawn again. There's just not really enough here. Like I mentioned before, the gameplay is pretty much the same for the most part, which is fine, but there isn't really that one thing that really defines the game. The one thing that really makes this game different from the first game. And I'm not saying that they had to completely change the game or make something completely different. I'm just saying, like, some new mechanic or anything like that would have been really cool. Even if it wasn't necessarily a gameplay mechanic, if the world was more, like, interestingly designed. Like, there's a couple areas in the game that are really interesting. It makes me wish that they had that throughout the entire game. I'm not going to say what because it could be a spoiler. But even so, though, I would love to see another Horizon game that could really do something different. Either change up the world a little bit more, make it something we haven't seen before, or make some new gameplay mechanics or something like that. Because honestly, Forbidden West is pretty good, but it just feels like Zero Dawn again. So in that sense, it doesn't really impress me nearly as much. But it's still a really solid game, and I still think you should give it a shot. And I definitely would recommend it if you enjoyed Zero Dawn. It's just that don't really expect a lot of new. It's pretty much just more of Zero Dawn. But I've been rambling long enough. On my scale of 0 to 10, I give Horizon Forbidden West a solid 8 out of 10. It's a really good game, and I definitely think you should give it a shot. And while the game is really good in all of its ways, it just doesn't really have enough new to offer, in my opinion. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section how much of a stupid idiot I am for whining about this game for like the last 2 minutes. Don't get the wrong idea. I still like the game. It's just that I wish there was a little new stuff in there as well. But anyways, let me know what you think of the game. Let me know what you think if you've played the game. And if you've played the PS4 version of the game, let me know how good that version is performance-wise, because I would like to know. And if this is your first time coming across one of my videos, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It makes my day. It really does. Life isn't the best, so it definitely would be appreciated. Show a bit of love. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. Take care.